We don't take enough time for the genius ideas to percolate in us. We are too busy thinking that the more we do, the more will happen. And at a certain point, if you get paid for the quality of your thoughts, and the success of your shop is determined by the quality of your leadership, you need to find some Einstein time.
Welcome back to the Richer Retailer Podcast. I'm Cathy Donovan Wagner, and this is part 2 with the incredible Sarah Victory. If you missed part 1, please go back there and listen to it, because there were some incredible gems. She talks about magic, how to create magic, and you can. And I share how I didn't believe it at first either. I sat there with my arms crossed and I was, but, and there's more. She shared the phrase that we have to all push ourselves to ask other people in order to reach the level of success that we really want. And I'm challenging you to do that. And if this is your first time here, okay, I'll introduce you to her. And you are going to be so inspired right now. Sarah Victory is an amazing powerhouse visionary. She is the chief visionary officer of the Victory Company. Yes, that really is her last name. Crazy, right?
I came with a really hot husband. I couldn't turn it down,
She is famous, really famous for helping you to double your business in a year or less. And I heard that the very first time, and I was like, yeah. I don't really want a used car. Like, it felt like it was like a used car salesman kind of thing. Like, what? No, she's very serious. Gives you strategies that transform the way you look at your life and your business. It's really true. She's the author of Double Your Business in 1 year or less, Do Something Brave Every Day, and the author of How to Be Powerful. And she hosts a lovely, inspiring podcast, curiously enough called The Inspiring Victory Show. And she really understands the life that we all have as entrepreneurs. She works with multi hundreds of millions of dollars businesses. Welcome back, Sarah. I'm so excited.
Sweetheart. Nice to see you, dear.
Oh my
nice
goodness.
to be back. Thanks for having me twice. I'm honored.
I'm so grateful that you're sharing your time.
Oh, I'm glad it helps.
We left people on the edge of their seat last time with the formula for how to describe your business. And so please, let's jump right in.
Yeah, this is super, super important. People don't realize is that when you're not there to be dazzling, right? Other people have to sell you. And if you're leaving them with, she's got a store, you in one army.
Well, and because everybody's looking to fit you into a niche, right? So you're the electrician, you're the teacher, you're the doctor, you're the, so right, you have a store. That's all they think
you're
about.
The store, you're a store. Yeah, it's just kind of like saying, what are we going to call this beautiful red vehicle over here? I know, why don't we call it car? No, it's called Ferrari, and it's red and it goes fast. Right? I mean, you don't call it car. So don't call yourself car. And here's what I hear all the time. I go to these events, right? And people come up to me and they'll say, I'm an accountant. And I think, oh, fascinating, right? I mean, people just want to go get a drink or find the dip or something when you say that. I'm an accountant, I'm a lawyer, I'm a realtor. But here's the problem. 50% of the people that you are talking to can't stand whatever it is that is that category. Everybody hates lawyers, but they love their lawyer. Their lawyer's wonderful. Everybody hates realtors. They're all terrible. They're just, awful. Except my realtor, she's really great. Let me introduce you. Right? So you want to be their whatever. You don't want to be a car. You want to be a Ferrari. And you have to give them the tools so they don't just say, she's awesome or he's awesome. You want them to have something more to say than that, to describe you when you are not there. Most of your business will come when you're not there. People saying, oh, I went to this shop. It was amazing. You got to go. Right? Or my friend opened this shop. You have to give them the tools, and you have to have the tools. And even though social media is incredibly important, and I want you looking at what, if you have a coffee shop, I want you looking at what Starbucks doing, because they pay $1 bazillion for that marketing, do a lot of the same things. If you're a small business, a lot of it's going to come from word of mouth, and you have to create that. So the formula that there's a lot of formulas that you can use. There's some simple ones. You can say, our passion is to X for Y kinds of people. My favorite formula, I think I borrowed from the great Patricia Fripp, which is you say, how problem, and then you say, well, how we solve that, and then and the result is, and the reason that how is so important is because it's very bonding. You say how, and I feel so smart. I'm so smart. I know things. She thinks I know things. I'm wonderful, right? And you want to make people feel good about themselves. Why not start with that? So, all right. So this gal comes up to me and she says, I love to network and I'm a people person and I'm great at what I do, but everybody thinks what I do is boring and it's not. It's really interesting. And I said, oh, great. What is she, an astronaut? And she says, I'm an accountant. And I went, oh, like we all do, right? Oh, another one of those. I'm thinking I already have one. I don't need one. You're boring. Everybody thinks they're boring. And she's adorable. So I said, well, you are fascinating and adorable. So we're gonna assume that they're just crazy. How can they not know that? I said, well, what do you say when people say, what do you do? She says, I say I'm an accountant. And I said, oh, honey, no, 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 no. Tell me the most interesting thing that's ever happened to you as an accountant. Talk, 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 talk. And I said, oh, here's what you're going to say instead. You're going to say this. You know how most people just hate tax time? They really hate that, right? And
Mm-hmm.
everybody says what? Yes. Does anybody
Mm-hmm.
ever say, oh, I love tax time, except an accountant? And even they hate it because they don't have any time off for 4 straight months. And she said, you know how people really, yeah, they just hate tax time. She said, well, I let people bring like shoe boxes full of receipts or stuff they haven't done in years. And she said, and I just magically make it all disappear because I love it. And she goes, and then they get to send things off to the government that are so fabulous. And she said, and the result is I literally have people sending me flowers telling me that tax time is now their favorite because they got such a big return from the government. And I said, and I was like, oh. So we can go with, I'm an accountant, or we can go with, how problem, do it this way. She wasn't kidding. She literally gets flowers from people where she comes in and saves the day. I love to save the day. The bigger, the more complicated the problem, the more I love it. Well, her business triples in a year. She sends me a nice little handwritten card a year later. And she said, my business is now 3 times as big. She goes, because I love to pick the kind of marketing you like to do. If you like to network, go meet people, right? Don't just stay in your store, go someplace. And she really loved that. And she loved people and she cared about hearing their stories and she wanted to network them to other people and in that
Mm-hmm.
way. But she said the main thing was people could describe that
To
story
yeah,
to other people for her. And that made just a humongous
all the difference.
difference.
Yeah.
Yeah, so
Well,
that's a real word. I didn't make that up. I swear. So humongous, very, very real
humongous.
word.
Well,
Yeah.
the
And
thing
it
is
did.
that
Mhm.
every single all of our richer retailers, the reason why we say richer retailers is because our goal is to make you richer in every way possible. And that
Yes.
doesn't come from forcing people to buy things. It doesn't come
Mm-mm.
from just
No.
selling things. And so what I know is that they are instead like selling an emotion. They're selling a solution to a problem. So let's just really quick like work through how that could be like for a gift store. Like what would you say about a gift store? Um
Sales is the graceful art of helping other people get what they really want. It's not bashing them over the head, making them
mhm,
do things they don't want to do.
mhm,
So you have to figure out who really wants this and how can I find power partners that want a lot of it.
mhm,
So
mhm,
if let's say at Christmas time, let's say you go out and network and meet people and you say to people, hey, I'm looking for some power partners, people I can give business to, people who can give business to me. You're not just standing around
oh,
and doing nothing. And then
mhm,
you say, who do you know who might be looking for what we do? And I can guarantee you there's 10 people in that chamber of commerce or what women's organization or whatever it is that do those gift baskets every year.
mhm,
And
mhm,
they might love your gifts that in your store. They might be thrilled to buy them in bulk at a bit of a discount, especially if you make it easy for them. We
mhm,
could deliver. We could make it easier for you. We could make it faster.
mhm,
We could do some of the work for you. We could hire somebody to do some of this for you, and and make your life easier during that hardest time of the year. But if you're asking those people what they want and how they need things to be, you
mhm,
can then start adapting what you have to be able to be more effective for those people, and maybe do it in bulk for
Mhm.
20 different people who are doing those gifts. There's always people who are those personal shoppers for the big executives who have no time, who have to buy hundreds of gifts
Mhm.
every Christmas or for
Yeah.
every holiday. And if you can get in with some of them, there are associations. You could speak about how different gifts work and show off how things happen. You could speak in an association where all of those personal shopper types of high level folks, they all come to those networking events
Mhm. Mhm.
together. So there's
Mhm.
always an association of people who are good power partners for you.
What could you say that, because for sure, like many of those people probably shop online because it's just easier. So what could you say then
You
to
have to
get,
find a way to make it easier than online.
right?
You only want to spend so much time in your fuzzy slippers at home, you know.
No,
You want to meet
exactly.
people once in a while. Yeah.
And so I think if you just say you have a gift store, they're just still going to go online. But if you say something
Right.
like, well, you know
What's the
how it
benefit?
can be so hard to shop for everyone in your family. You know how stressful the holiday
Yeah.
is for getting gifts for everybody, and everyone's going to say yes. I help people to be rock star gift givers, to give the gifts that will,
It
if,
will give the gifts that will change the life of the person that receives them and make them feel special forever. And the result is that when at the end of the holidays, when I have been, again, maybe you become the person who is the personal shopper
Mhm.
for these people. At the end of the holidays, I'm the ones getting gifts from all the people who didn't have time to shop for gifts because those gifts were so perfect for each and every person that
Mhm.
they got. But
Mhm.
you memorized the formula and that was perfect. Yes, you're right. I didn't see where you were going with that back to the formula thing. But yes, it's exactly that. It's
Mhm.
painting a picture of a story and a result that somebody might want to do. No, but the other thing is, can you ask everybody, go out and talk to real people. Don't just
Mhm.
do surveys online or
No,
service
right.
monkey or that. Go and talk to real people and
Mhm.
say, I'm expanding my business and I need your help. Who do you think would buy a lot of gifts? And a lot of people say things you've already heard, act like you've never heard them before. Oh, what a great idea. Make them feel brilliant. It's all right. Because every so often they say something you haven't heard, or
Absolutely.
they say they know a person, or
Yeah.
they are a person. And
Right.
always do it in kind of a headhunter kind of way. Don't go directly at them and what I can do for you is too desperate. You say, here's what I do for corporations. Here's what I do. Here's what I do for my corporate clients,
Yeah.
even if you
Right.
only have one, right?
Yeah. Right.
Here's what I do
Right.
for my corporate clients, all those gifts for all the people
For
that work for
sure.
them. And I make sure that those are memorable, powerful, and those are gifts that make that person that works for them want to stay forever. But are you asking, what is it that, what problem are you solving? But also, what do they want? Because maybe there are other things you could bring in. Can you
Mhm.
bring in somebody who can gift wrap? Or maybe you've already got that. Can you bring it? What are things that you're like, yeah, I love getting it, but then I have to wrap it, or then I have to go get the stuff for it, or then I
Mhm.
have to deliver it.
Mhm.
Well, those are all things that people sometimes will pay top dollar to have personal service. So worried about other people's budgets, like we're spending our own money. Let them spend it the way they want to spend it. And if they
Right.
want to do it with you, let them do that. But don't, you know, don't be expecting everybody to be thinking about it the way you do. The
No.
money of it is often the least of it. If they really wanted the cheap stuff, they would, be going
Yes.
elsewhere. You can't, yeah,
Yeah. No, there's,
you
yeah.
can't be you can't be the cheapest because
No.
you can't compete with Amazon and Temu.
No, exactly.
But you can create all sorts of services that have huge value to people,
Yep.
life-changing value to
Yep.
people.
Exactly. That's so true. Well, so we talked.
If their mother-in-law now loves them and hated them last month because of the gift you got them, you are now very, very valuable. And not the mother-in-laws are bad, they're all,
No,
or
no, I
their
understand.
sister or their best friend or their staff members that all rolled their eyes last year when they got something boring.
Right.
Yeah, it can
Well,
be
and I think
life-changing.
that that actually brings up another quick little point that I want to make sure I highlight to everyone, because I know that we all are in business, right? Everyone listening is,
Yeah.
and we all forget the stories of the great stories that we have of interactions with people. And one thing I think that you really shine at is remembering the stories so that you can share them again. And so there has to be some place where you keep stories of what you've done for customers, and you can share them. And I think that's another really important, another very fabulous of using social proof. And
And you can use it on social media. If
yeah,
somebody
exactly.
says
That's
to
exactly
you,
the
"Oh
next thing
my
I was going
gosh,
to say.
you were a lifesaver. I had 10 people to buy for and no time, and
Hmm.
every single one of them personally
Yeah.
thanked me for these gifts."
Right.
And you say, "That is one of the nice things anybody's ever said to me. This is how I keep going in what I'm doing. You're
Right.
the best. Can I pull out my iPhone or my Android?
Exactly. Right.
Can I video record you saying that? Because on my tough days, it'll really help. Oh, of course. Video, video,
Yeah,
video,
right,
video.
right away.
Would you rather audio if you're not comfortable with video? Audio's fine. We'll
Right.
transcribe it if you don't
Yeah,
even want it to be audio.
right.
But get it right then, get it right there
Mhm.
and then put it on social media, put it up on your website and make it clear that you have that external social proof of somebody saying it. You're not just saying we're fabulous. They're saying you're
They're
fabulous. And
saying
that's
you're fabulous,
smart.
right.
That's social proof, much more
All right.
powerful. Yep.
So we gave everybody the formula about how
Yep.
to describe themselves. We talked about
Yep.
how they can approach their magic power partners. We talked about that. So the other big question, how can retailers create a steady flow of new customers walking through their doors even during slow seasons?
A never ending stream of new business is what you want. And here's the thing you have to make your store the most irresistible destination.
Hmm.
And that is usually a people factor. You have to leverage other people. And what I mean by that is, I don't care how small the town you live in, there's probably 10, 20, 50, or 1,000 people that love to talk and have a lot of friends. And they think they're the next big professional speaker, right? They want to, I remember being that. I want everybody to hear me talk, right? And then it becomes real. And you're like, how did that happen? And they usually have a lot of friends because they're talkers. So
Hmm.
if you get some topics that would be appealing, or events that would be appealing. You know, the chamber's always looking for places to have a cocktail party. Can that be your bar? Can that be your restaurant? Can that be your cafe? Can that be your gift shop? What can that be that you can, everybody has to, they have to go to your shop to find that stuff. So events can be incredibly powerful, especially now that people have become more and more and more isolated and they're looking for ways to connect. But some of the easiest things you can do is leverage other people's networks of people. Have a fashion show. If you've got somebody who's a personal shopper and does, clothing and stuff like that, have something in your shop that allows all those people who are going to be the models are coming there and then all the people that come see their friends the models there, but
Yeah.
have an event, at least have an event a month, have an event a week, but have something
Hmm.
where people will bring their whole network to you. And then you've got this never ending stream of new business being delivered to your door.
That is such a fantastic idea because honestly, of course, the idea of events isn't new, but that idea of
Right.
reaching out to your people and asking them again, it's using that question about I'm looking to expand my
I'm
business.
expanding my business and I
How
need
can
your
I
help.
need your help? Yeah, it's the kind of thing that you should email quarterly for sure, asking people who they know and what information would you love to share. Do we have any master gardeners out there? This is what we should do in the springtime for our garden, or this is what we need to do in the fall for our garden, or in
Yeah.
January. Let's all dream about the spring. You could bring a master gardener in, like just thinking about different
Yeah.
things like that, because it is very true that what we have found is that more than ever before, people want live events, but they have to be interesting. They just can't be,
They
come
really
on
have to
in.
be
Like they have
interesting.
to have
Yeah.
a hook to them.
Yeah.
And I think doing
And
specific things like that, the biggest mistake people make is assuming they have to do an event that's going to be interesting to everybody on their email list or all of their customers. And
mm-mm,
actually, you don't want that.
mm-mm.
You want these niches
Very
because,
narrow niche.
yes,
Hmm.
exactly. And so think
Hmm.
about those niches that you have and what you
Hmm.
could do. Right. That's a really good point.
And it also, I mean, let's say, Master Gardener is a great example. Let's say you need Master Gardeners to be the speakers at your garden shop, right? Well, you can go to the Association of Gardeners in town or the hobbyists that are gardeners. You find all the cool people that are good at talking about that there. You invite them to come and speak, and you've got one every week, on very specific niche things that people have problems with. How to
Hmm.
get rid of aphids. I mean, really specific. I
Yeah.
do need to
Right.
know that, really specific things. But you can also be the expert. You can say, hey, let me come in and talk to you about how to get rid of aphids and how you can save money on all the different planting things that you're doing and how,
Hmm.
don't do this. You'll waste money doing it that way. If
Hmm.
you come into my shop, I'll show you exactly what I mean. Well, they've got to come to your shop, talk to you more. So you can cross pollinate all of these
Right.
things. And it's fairly effortless. You just,
Yeah.
going
Right.
to a few places and bringing a few people in. But be on the lookout for the things your customers say are issues for them that you could have a speaker come in and talk about, or that you could go and speak somewhere else that they might like to go and
Hmm.
then talk about it there to even more people.
Right. Well, and I love this idea of of also looking at other businesses and how they could also be magic power partners for you. Because the
Yeah.
point about the master gardener is that anyone that has women that shop in their store, most places, Many women
Right.
love to garden. So anybody could have a master gardener in their store. A gift store can have a master gardener come to their
Yep.
store. And you can have a gardening, you could have someone come from your local nursery, from your local garden shop, so that you're cross
Right.
pollinating that way too. And could they email
Yeah.
out for you and you could email out for them? Or
Yeah.
I have a yarn store who did a beginning knitting class in a brewery that it was at the end of their block. Who would have
Perfect.
thought?
Yeah,
But
exactly. Well, now
they
everybody knows
wanted
about the
business and
brewery and everybody knows about their shop.
yeah,
So yeah,
right.
people
It's
don't
really
think about
interesting.
connecting with others and leveraging the power of the entire network.
Right. Right.
So that everybody's promoting everybody else. And that makes it a lot more fun too.
Oh, for sure.
Oh, I'm expanding my business and I need your help. Who do you know who needs a, wants a, or, and
Yeah.
can you, who would really appreciate, who would want to buy this, who would need help with
Yeah.
that, who
Okay,
could I
great.
partner with? You're really smart. How can you help me, help me
Perfect.
figure out how I can expand this business? I know
Perfect.
you
Perfect.
can.
I
Yeah.
just don't want y'all to forget that, how beautifully she said. So what's the 5 word formula? I want to know what that is.
Do something brave every day.
Oh.
Do something brave every day. And
Oh.
here's where that came from. On my darkest days, and as you know, I lost my husband recently, and so there've been some darker days.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The
So
thing that keeps me going is knowing you just have to do something brave every day. And let me tell you where I got it from. This is where I got it from. Years ago, I went to a party. This is before I met the cute hot husband, right? I went to a party. I'm wearing an off the shoulder green dress. It looks fabulous. And I had a great time. So I get in my car. It's where I met Steve. And so I'm in California and I'm driving along Pacific Coast Highway, which has got the sea and you can smell the mist. And I'm singing at the top of my lungs, not necessarily well, but I'm singing. And I'm driving home and the windows are open and the sea air and it's 2 o'clock in the morning. And, so this was a good party. I was out late. So, I get back to my house and I park in the driveway because it's 72 and sunny every day in California. Nobody parks in their garage. So I'm parked out there. And so I'm sitting there and I go to turn everything off and I'm about to, get um, the windows back up. And I look over and I see out of the bushes, I see this figure coming right toward me, big figure. And I see somebody has got what looks like a gun in his pocket. And I look up and he says, "Excuse me, ma'am, but I need you to take me to Anaheim." And I said, "Oh." And the first thing I thought wasn't, "Oh my gosh, I'm being carjacked. I could die." My first thought was, he called me ma'am. He called me, I hate when people call me ma'am. Don't you hate when people call
yeah.
you ma'am? You feel like you're 108 years old,
Yeah,
right? Exactly.
exactly.
And then I thought, this is the politest carjacker in the world. He's called me ma'am. It's like, this is all running through my head. So meanwhile, I've done nothing you're supposed to do. I didn't honk horns. I didn't scream. I didn't drive away. Nothing. And by this time, I'm thinking through all of these ridiculous tangents, and he has already come around, opened up the door, and he's sitting next to me. And I am now having a heart attack, right? My heart is pounding out of my chest. My palms are sweating. I turn on the car. I think, how the heck do you get to Anaheim from here? And why am I going to, why does he want to go to Anaheim? None of this is mattering. I'm like, I just have to live, right? So I start driving. I'm like, drive him wherever he wants to go. So I start driving and driving and driving and going up the highway. It's like all freeways out there. And so I'm going up and going up and going up. And finally, I think, I want to take a peek at this guy. I don't even know what he looks like. All I saw was jacket and gun, right? So I look over and I take a quick look and I look back and I look over and his hands are outside of his pockets. He has no gun. And I look at his face and I realize he's like 15, maybe. He's maybe 15, maybe 14, 15 years old. And this is the most codependent sentence I've ever said in my life. I said, "Are you okay?" It's like I couldn't think of anything else to say. And he's sobbing. I mean, sobbing uncontrollably, just sobbing. He's like, "I can't do anything right. I can't even hold you up right. My life is over. I hate my life." And I'm like, "No, no, no. You did great. I was really scared. I was so frightened." I was like, I don't know what else to do. Once a
Right.
motivational speaker, always a motivational speaker. I don't know what was going on with me. And finally, and he started to laugh, and he's like wiping away his face, and like, "But I suck." I'm like, "No, no, no, I think you're great." Sort of. I mean, why are you carjacking me? Where are we going? What's happening? Okay, I'll take you wherever you want to go, but you have to tell me what on earth is going on. And he tells me the saddest story. Oh my gosh, poor guy. He's been in and out of foster care, and
Mm.
in and out and in and out. And he finally got to go home that night to his family. And he walks into the middle of the living room, and they have a meth lab in the middle of the living room. A meth lab where they make meth. And so he said, I thought you guys were clean.
Mm.
Right? So an hour later, he's distraught, and there's a bang at the front door, and they said, "Oh, I think that could be the feds. Go, 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 run, run, run!" And he goes out the back of the house, out of the bathroom, through a tiny little window, and runs. And to avoid being swept up in this FBI raid, runs and runs and runs and runs and runs and runs for
Oh
like
my gosh.
hours, hours, until he finally gets to my fancy neighborhood. And he sees me and he thinks, I need a car. The only people he knows are in Anaheim, which has some nice areas, Disney, and some, at the time, way back when, some sketchy areas. And so he said, well, I've got to get a car. And then he thought, oh, yeah, but I don't know how to drive yet. So I know what I'll do. I'll carjack her and get her to drive me there. And I said, how's that decision working out for you so far? And he goes, not well at all. And I was like, okay, all righty, here we go. And I said, okay. So we get ourselves up to Anaheim. I have no idea where I am. I don't know where I've driven. I don't know where I am. We're talking, we're talking, we're talking. And I said, you cannot rely on these people. I said, I didn't have the easiest childhood either. He says, you got this nice car and this life and you do all these fancy things. And I said, yeah, because anything's possible. And and if I can do it, anyone can. And I said, you got to figure out what you want. You got to figure out what would be magic for you,
Mm.
right? And I said, what would you want? He goes, well, if I could do anything, I'd work on old motorcycles and old cars, and I'd make them cherry. I'm like, isn't that a fruit? He goes, no, it means it's good. It's good. It's good. I'm like, oh, sure. Okay, fine. Is that really feasible? And he goes, oh, yeah, there's a special school you can get into. And there's this one social worker. She really likes me. And I could get into this school and I could do this and I could do that. And he's all lit up and everything, tears dried and all that. And I was like, huh, well, what would you start doing? What would be the very first step? And he goes, well, I'd have to call her on Monday. And I said, fantastic. That sounds great. And all of a sudden, I noticed that some of my business cards are on the console between us, and he has stolen one, slipped it into his pocket. I didn't say anything. Okay, all right, that sounds good. And he goes, um, you know what, ma'am? And I was like, oh God. And I just said yes. I said, you can call me Sarah. Sarah, actually, it's fine. And he goes, okay, Sarah. He said, I'm 15 years old. You're the first person that ever believed in me, and I tried to take your car. And I said, I do believe you. I'm not sure. I believe in you. I'm not sure why I believe in you after this experience. I said, but I think you'll make me proud. I do. I really do. We all start somewhere. This
Yeah.
is your second chance. Don't blow it.
Yeah. Right.
And so he goes up into this house and he says, well, this is a bad neighborhood, so I'm going to watch you drive away. I said, this is a bad neighborhood. I'm going to watch you get into that house. And his friends are waving. I'm like, these seem pretty okay. And so we're waving and now we're bonded. We're best friends. And so I start driving home and I'm thinking, yes, only I would have this experience, right? So I get home. 3 weeks later, I remember distinctly, I've got my earpiece in. I'm talking to Pamela, who was my assistant, the wonderful assistant for 15 years. On my earpiece, and she says, we got a call today from some guy. He sounds really young. And I said, oh, okay, what did he say? And she said, oh, he told me to tell you that he's gotten into a special school and that he's working on old motorcycles and cars and making them, is this right, cherry? I was like, yeah, no, that's right, it's good. you
Oh my
you got it, girl. You're that's because you're so cool, and I know what it means because I'm so cool. And she goes, oh, yeah, and he's got one other thing he wants to tell you. Wants me to tell you that he's figured out the secret of life.
Oh,
I said,
do
oh,
tell.
perfect. I do tell. What's the secret of life? And he said that it's to do something brave every day, even when you don't feel like it. You do something brave every day. You just do something brave every day, every day.
Wow.
And I said, I could give up my speaking career and let this kid take over. That is the
Right.
smartest,
Right.
wisest advice I've ever taken. Because even though I have 1,000 formulas of how you can do everything and make everything happen, and I do, you do too, right?
Mhm.
It really comes down to you. You've got to know what the brave thing is that you need to do, and you have to have the freaking
Right.
courage to do it.
Yeah. And
So,
honestly, so much of what you've
mm,
shared is hard It's hard to ask people for help. It's hard to come up with a way of describing yourself, and then you end up feeling like, oh, that's ridiculous. I can't really
Hmm.
say that,
Yeah,
I mean, so there's so much
takes so much
bravery
courage.
in that. And yet, the thing about that story is, yet what we're afraid of is so much easier for us to do than it was for that kid. And if that kid could do
If
that,
he can do it, anyone
yeah,
can.
for sure,
I
for
mean, I
sure.
always think to myself, what the heck is my excuse? I'm
Yeah,
not,
right.
I'm afraid to tell 10 people, what I
Right.
want in life and ask for help. Come
Yeah,
on,
for
this kid
sure.
had so much more to overcome. And it led me to when I did meet Steve and get married, we ended up with 4 foster kids. So yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
so
And I
beautiful.
never, I still haven't, I haven't found him yet, but I figure if I tell the story enough someday, his name was Ricky. Someday Ricky will find me.
Absolutely. One last thing I'd really like you to share. What the heck is the Einstein factor? You got to make this short and brief, but I'm so curious. I love Einstein so much. And if he's
Who
got a
doesn't love
factor,
Einstein?
I want it.
Einstein factor is important. You know how I said to you, cannot have be doing 3 hours of email every single day? That's
Hmm.
stupid because other
Hmm.
people are genius at it and they can do it in one. And why are you doing it three? And why you're doing it at all when I now do 10 minutes of email a day and you aren't doing much more than that. Now that you have your fabulous virtual assistant, who Leslie was able to find for you
Yes,
for usually
yes,
around $10 an hour. Plug for Leslie and how awesome she is.
absolutely. Oh, yeah. Please, you
She
guys
is,
will, don't hesitate.
oh,
She made me hire this person, and I couldn't be more grateful. I couldn't be more grateful.
all know how important that is. Get help before you need it, but do the
Hmm.
things that are in your zone of genius. And that is the things you love and the things you can do.
Hmm. Hmm.
At work, you should be doing 90% of your time, 95, 99% of your time should be the things in your zone of genius. And what Einstein said was you have to ruthlessly protect your spirit. You have to ruthlessly protect your thoughts. He said if it takes him a month to come up with one really great idea,
Hmm.
totally, totally worth it. If he had to walk around the quad at Princeton and just talk to people for a month to be able to get that one great thought. And most of us are so busy being human doings, not human beings, as the great Wayne Dyer used to say in his speeches and books, that we don't take enough time for the genius ideas to percolate in us. We are too busy thinking that the more we do, the more will happen. And at a certain point, if you get paid for the quality of your thoughts and the success of your shop is determined by the quality of your leadership, you need to find some Einstein time, like you talked about, that one day a week, or a half day a week, or a couple of hours a day. But you
Yeah,
absolutely have to find some Einstein time if you really want to be successful. You will never hit
never,
the high notes. You will never be fully successful.
never.
It's not just what you get, it's who you become. You've got to become that person, and that person only comes into being in a little bit of silence a day,
Yeah.
even if that's only 10 minutes. So that's the Einstein factor.
Thank you so much for sharing that because it is so true. The more I have cleared off my schedule because of getting help, I was tired before. And
No one is successful when they're tired.
we call this time CEO time or what else is possible time. And
Yep. Same
we're
thing.
so passionate about helping you achieve that. So don't hesitate to reach out if that's something that you want more of because it is what we do at Retail Mavens. We're happy to help. So the last thing is for your last Millie moment, I would so love for you to share what it was that your grandfather taking you for that walk in the park and what it because
Oh,
this is so inspiring. Uh, so
that's
yes,
funny
if
that
you
you
would
remember. I
tell us
can't
this
believe it.
story.
I don't think I ever tell this on stage, but I should. This is particularly pertinent for women, and I thought
Hmm.
a lot of retailers are women, thank God,
Hmm.
because women are great at stuff, and men too. So I am 10 years old and I'm with my grandfather. And as you know, childhood was a little rocky. So he was my one rock. Eventually, I went and lived with him when I was a teenager. And so I'm 10 and we're walking through Central Park in New York City. And and we're looking at, and I said, Granddad, um, explain to me why there's so many statues of men on horseback with really big swords. And, what are they overcompensating for, really? And so,
You
stuff like
didn't
that.
say that when you were 10.
No, no, I saying that now. I'm editorialized that. I didn't even know any of that stuff. And here's what I literally said. I said, "Where are the women on horseback with big swords?" And he went, "Oh." He goes, "Well, we're going to the Metropolitan Museum, big museum, and we can talk about that." And he said, "It's interesting. As a man, you don't think of such things." He said, "But you're right. All of the plaques, all of the statues, they're all men." And I said, "Well, yeah, that's kind of weird, isn't it? Where's the women?" And he said, "There should be more." I said, "Yes, I think so." So we go into the Metropolitan Museum, and there are plenty of statues. There's statues everywhere, all sorts of statues. And there are statues of women. And guess
Right.
what? They're all nude. So,
Oh,
so I literally turned to my grandfather and I said, "Grandpa, so I can get a statue of me as long as I'm nude?" And he went, "No, no, absolutely not. You do not get a statue of yourself if you're nude. This is not the way to do it." And I saw his little wheels turning, and he goes, "I have an idea." So we hop in a cab and we go all the way to the bottom of the island of Manhattan, and we hop on a ferry. And in the distance, I start seeing bigger and bigger and bigger is Statue of Liberty.
Statue of Liberty.
And he said, "I don't want you to ever forget this. This is who you are. You are big, you are strong, you are powerful, you are wearing clothes, and you are lighting the way for everyone around you." And I would not do what I do today if my Grandpa Pete had not said that to me. So if you didn't have a Grandpa Pete, I need you to know that your first impulse is to think that the guys get to do everything and that you have to be 180% ready to do everything. But you don't. You can be that Statue of Liberty. You can light the way for others so that everybody else will be learning from you.
And I want you to know that Sarah and I believe you. And if you don't believe in yourself yet, trust our belief. You can borrow our belief in you.
Mhm.
We know how astonishing you are and what you do and how courageous you are every day and the people that you impact. And we just want to help you impact more. That's what we want you to do. We want you to help shine your light so bright, the world needs your light. Don't listen to that cranky cousin. Don't.
There's always one.
Always one. Always one.
Not your problem.
Sarah, thank you so very much.
Thank you, honey. Nice to see you. You're
Oh,
amazing.
right back
I
at
want to
you.
be you when I grow up. I think you're awesome.
Oh, right back at you. And listen,
Thanks.
I know that you all are so loved and know that you can reach out to Sarah. You can reach out to me. We'll put all of her contact information in the show notes because,
Sure.
and you can follow her everywhere. Sarah Victory, there's not too many of them.
Probably not.
And so, thank you so very much, everyone. Love you all. Happy
Take
retailing.
care,
Go
man.
be richer, shall we all? All right.
Let's do it.
Bye.
Thanks so much.